All right. How are y'all doing tonight? Good to see some folks. Synth Addict, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Andy, Quasar, welcome. Paul and Jeff, welcome everybody. Yep, a few things to talk about tonight. I've been having the last 3 or 4 days a few kind of weird technical issues. They kind of sort of cropped up during the Jam Tava stream yesterday, and not sure what changed, but some things just kind of go away sometimes lately. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but we'll struggle through it. And I think we'll be okay. Everything's acting fine now. I had a fantastic weekend, and actually the past few days, a very good friend of ours has been staying with us from Costa Rica. She is heading back. She flies back tomorrow. So tonight she's staying closer to the airport. But on Saturday, she brought her daughter over to the house, and having her daughter here was just a wonderful experience, which I'll talk about. But briefly, actually, let's go ahead and get into that first, and then we'll get into what's in the jam. So her daughter is autistic, and I've known them for as long as we've been living here in Westminster, so close to 15 years. I've kind of watched her daughters grow up, and but she loves music, and so she came into the studio while I was working on prepping for Jam Tava, and I had no idea what kind of how she would react to anything. I know she likes ambient music a lot, so I had some of the background tracks that I was going to use in Jam Tava yesterday going. And so we were playing in E minor and A Dorian on yesterday. So I had some E minor stuff going, and she wanted to play with one of the keyboards. So I turned her loose on the Polybrute, of all things, and she poked around just a couple times on the keys, and then just started playing in E minor like perfectly. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And then she started to explore the keyboard, and it was mind-blowing to watch the way she worked with the Polybrute. I mean, she didn't do a whole sound editing or anything like that, but she very quickly figured out where the presets were and started going through the presets and found presets she would like, and she'd go back and forth between them and play. I was just astounded. I was blown away. So anyway, that out of my system. China that should be a cool trip, Andy, and just hopefully they won't get too crazy with you live streaming from there. Just do watch your back. Yeah, it was super cool, Jeff. I was just absolutely mind blown, and so just wow. So anyway, she's our friend will be back up again in October. Hopefully, she'll bring her daughter over again, and we can play some more music. I'm really hoping. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into what's in the jam, and yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see if I remember to set everything back up to do that. Yes, I did. Good. Okay, so what I did today, what was in the jam today, was largely stuff that I had prepped for Jam Tava yesterday. So you might have heard some of this yesterday if you were listening in on the jam. If not, I actually got to use all of it tonight, so that's fun too. I've done a few little different setups in things than I ordinarily do. So we're going to have to expand some things and contract some things as we go through. But let me go ahead and stop what you're hearing now, and we'll start with the first one. Just as some of these I've used it before on the show, but I've kind of modified some of them a little bit. So the first one is I'm not sure about that, Paul. At least not yet. I don't know. I have no idea. It's the kind of thing she might dig into it and excel. It could be astounding. I really don't know. So anyway, first up, a multi-poly patch. It's my Recitation 2 patch. Pretty much right out of the tin. Gives us kind of a rhythmic drone. And it's got responds to aftertouch. Exactly, Andy, exactly. So anyway, that's that. The next setup is I've kind of got grouped because I'm using the same patch or the same patch for two different things in two different ways tonight. So this next one up, this next one is in pigments, and so a modified version of one of my other patches in pigments. So that would be that. Just another pad. And I was looking to see. I couldn't remember if I'd stuck additional effects behind this or not, because I was playing with something we'll play with a little later on. I was playing with the Ableton Live resonator effect, which is really very cool. So let's go ahead and collapse that back down. So I was using it two ways. The way you just heard was how I was using it during the actual opening tonight, and then I'm also using it a slightly quieter, slightly tweaked version of it that's going to be used for the drone once I stop talking again, for the background sound. Okay, so another one. This was another multi-poly patch. I do not have the Polybrute 12, so no, I don't. The only patches that I have, Andy, other than what was stock on the Polybrute, are patches that I've made myself. So nothing available from anybody else. Mixmaster, good to see you. So this is another version of Recitation 2, and I was using it in kind of a for a kind of a plucky thing. The Zoom of Doom. Okay, we'll see you later. So this is just another slight tweak on the same patch as was used for that rhythmic drone. Fun to see how much mileage you can get out of one patch. And so next up is another version of the same thing. Now this one I've actually modified the patch itself, and so I've got basically an arpeggiated version of it for very rapid arpeggiation. One thing I learned about the multi-poly plugin with this with this patch is that it eats up a lot of CPU, at least in my system. Oh, good to know, Jeff. Thank you. I will make sure that I'll be out of the way well in time tonight. We're going to keep things on topic as much as possible and be quick as possible. So, so that was that one. Again, another version of the same patch, and finally the last multi-poly patch in the Jam. This one is again Recitation 2. This time run through Valhalla Supermassive, and again slightly modified from my original version. And some of those filter sweeps are done. There's an LFO sweeping the filter, and there's an LFO sweeping the filter, and then I've also got poly aftertouch on the filter. And then next up, we do have a Modwave patch tonight. Since I'm preparing for a Modwave to come here, I'll be bringing it back with me from Chicago, as I may have mentioned last week. So this is a factory patch called Nebula, and I have modified it slightly. So. Thank you, Paul. So, yeah, Mixmaster a little after 9:30 to Jeff. I mean, a little over an hour to Jeff's stream. Tony, welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Looking forward to seeing you in a few days. So the next up is a percussive track, and I'm going to go ahead and play the sequence for that, and then I'll explain how it works, because it's also a folded up thing. So we've got two parts here. First is this kind of percussive bass thing, and Andy, the way it works, the hardware comes with an editor librarian piece of software, which is excellent. And then you can, if you buy one for a deal, you can usually pick up the VST version. They're not, it's not a free ad, but it's a, they give you, if you buy the hardware, you get a significant discount on the native software versions of the synths. I had not initially planned to buy a Modwave, or figured I wasn't going to be able to get one, so I went ahead and bought the native software some time ago. Tony let me know he was selling his already in the Tall Dog case, and I said, might as well collect complete the set, so to speak, and collect them all. So anyway, this patch, this percussive bass sound that I've done, basically I'm using some random sample and hold and voice modulator oscillators here to move the position of the wavetable and monkey with the filter. I'm also modulating the wave folder. Let's see, I think I also have, there's another wavetable sitting here in the background just doing just one thing. And then from the utility engine, I'm picking up some noise to get kind of that transient on some of the percussion, but not all of it. And then the whole thing is getting. Did I do that on this one? Let's see. Yeah, there's a sequence running that regenerates every time through. So that makes the bass portion in key, but randomized. And then the rest of the percussion, the drum parts, are coming from my old standby. I did a new pattern and a new kit for Native Instruments Session Percussionist. And that's got its own sequence. And the way this kind of works is you can see I'm actually doing a little different this time than usually. Usually I'll just run the whole sequence, but here I'm just calling individual patterns for a short period of time in the sequence that's running it. Let's get that out of the way. So that's so that is what's in the jam. So the wave state, I have the wave state, and if you want to get a really good flavor on the wave state, another musician, Rydvik from who lives up a little bit north of me, came down a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, a couple months ago. It all runs together, I don't know. And he and I did a sit down with the wave state, and it's really interesting what goes on inside the wave state. I've never actually had hands on the wave station or the wave station AD, and so I don't know how they compare, but it is definitely it's a really interesting and fun instrument to get to use, especially once you get your head around it, and especially when you realize that it is 4 complete wave sequencing stations in one box, each with its own set of wave sequences and parameter sequencing, its own set of samples and effects and all the things. Korg have really done some fun really done some fun things with these Raspberry Pi based Korgs instruments, and it amazes me what Korg can do with really such a basic little processor. Yeah, it's amazing what they get out of the Raspberry Pis. And then if you look at things like, the Korg Kronos 3 now, the Nautilus, and the PA5X arrangers, they're based on small PCs that run Atom processors. And they get, just incredible they have 9 incredible synth engines in the Kronos and the Nautilus. And it's just, and you can run them all at once. It's just mind-blowing what Korg software engineers can do. Just mind-blowing. Never cease to be impressed, and that's why I've had a love-hate relationship with Korg for geez, 40, 45 years, something like that. I keep going back to I keep saying, there was a point where I had and if you go to the website, there's a series called on the website called Korgs I've Owned, and it talks about my love-hate relationship with Korg. The one particularly bad experience I had, and anyway, so it's a great deal. It's a great deal, Andy. I would take him up on it. Definitely take him up on it. So anyway, yeah, I mean, although there are things about Oasis and Triton and the stuff that came before Kronos that were in some ways better than Kronos, but in my opinion, the Kronos is one of the best gigging keyboards you can buy. The synth engines are very powerful, and you can build pretty much any kind of sound that you want with one of the 9 engines. But the user interface is cramped. It's a touchscreen interface. Hey, David, welcome. And so there's a plethora of controls, but most of them aren't really that usable during sound design. You're really poking at the screen mostly, and they're great sound engines, but it's just I found it tedious to work on. But I loved gigging the thing. They do have a software editor for it, and unfortunately, the software editor is not resizable. It's tied to the size and shape of the touchscreen. Subsequently, on a modern monitor or a monitor screen, well, it's not even a VST. That's the thing. You couldn't plug it in, or if you could, it didn't work. The editor is still available, but when you on a modern computer, it's like, takes up this little icon on the screen, basically. I mean, it's a little better than that, but it's really small on a modern display. I basically dedicated an old laptop to it so that I could, fudge the screen size so it would be big enough to look at. But, you could, and again, I found it tedious to edit. But to me, the reason I bought it, because I knew I wasn't going to be doing a lot of sound design live kind of things with it. I was going to be using it for a gigging keyboard and a cover band. The set listing is, the set list capabilities and organizational capabilities within the instrument are second to none. And there is no better user interface for a gigging musician than the Kronos. And I'll plant a flag on a hill and stand behind that until I die, unless somebody comes up with something better. And I think if anybody does, it's going to be Korg. I will say that when I bought the Kronos, I did look closely also at Yamaha and Roland and Nord, and I looked at everybody. And I had played a Nord Electro, Friends Nord Electro a few times. And it just got down to, for what I was doing and the way I like to play on stage, you couldn't beat the Kronos. And it happened to be less expensive than all the others as well. So there is that. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the show. We've been through What's in the Jam. We talked a little bit about my Lost Love keyboard. Let's go ahead and get into what we want to talk about. As you all know, I'm going to Knobcon 4 days to the show, 3 days till I get in the truck and head west. So, yep, looking forward to that a lot. And who knows, I may completely change my outlook on the way music needs to be made. But there. Oh, I'm going to jump back to Kronos 1 second, real quick. if you look on my website in the article about the Kronos, or the articles about the Kronos, you'll see my setup had the keyboard, and then I had an Arturia Mini Lab 2 above it, which I used for one-shots, occasional light keyboard parts, but mostly for one-shots and specific songs. And the what you'll see is that I have two iPads. The one to my right, is my set list, lyrics, chords, whatever I needed to get through each individual song. On my left, you'll see sometimes I have another iPad that's basically a duplication of what's on the display on the keyboard. And I did that specifically on gigs where I knew we were going to go off the set list. Because it was quicker. The Kronos remote app that I bought was a little quicker to get around the set list if you had to go off list. It was a little easier to find things, a little easier to do searches. But that combination was just a joy to use on stage. And who knows, if I ever decide to do cover gigs again, I'd likely buy another Kronos. I doubt I'd buy a Kronos 3. I would probably go ahead and just buy another Kronos 2 and do what essentially is what Korg did to go from the Kronos 2 to the Kronos 3. The biggest improvement they made, as near as I can tell, and I'm going to put my fingers on one next week, but the biggest improvement that I can tell they made was changed out the SSD to make it a little more responsive. So anyway, back to the graphics here. Let's see. Boom. Knobcon coming up. Mixmaster, hopefully I will see you there. We'll kind of coordinate as things get closer. Tony, I'll see you while I'm out there. Anybody else who's going, hit me up, and we can we can chat. So as far as I don't know, Andy. I've been, again, on the website, I talk a lot about, why I don't want a modular system. I don't know. And Andy, you've been a little bit out of the loop. I'm fixing to retire, so my income is going to probably drop off precipitously, at least initially, while I get things squared away. So I don't know. If I were to go modular, something else big would have to go, and I'm loath to unload the only big thing left. Look out! Paul's getting into hardware. Paul is Mr. For those who don't know, he's Mr. VCV Rack, and as I've said time and time again, it was the sounds of modular synthesis that got me interested in electronic music, and for years I coveted having some sort of modular synth, but there was no way I could afford it then, and I got into monolithic synths and stuff, and Paul's playing with fire. So I've been the Knobcon before. I was out a couple years ago, and yes, it's obviously mostly modular related, but I get interested in. I'm still interested, and so I'll look. But there's other stuff going on out there as well, and a lot of it's a social aspect as far as I'm concerned. There's just folks I haven't seen in a couple of years, or who I only see online that I get to run into out there. So that's a large part of it, and I need a little break from here, honestly. Um, Even though I did just take a vacation in January, so yeah, it's gonna be a thing. I mean, it's like I said, the deal is that if I do decide to do that, then something else has to go, and so that's the you know like everything, it's a trade-off. You have to make choices and decisions. And so far, I have not gone down the modular rabbit hole. But like I said, there's other stuff out there to look at it. To look at out there, and uh, when I went out a couple of years ago, my actual what I was actually primarily looking at was visual synthesis. Easy for me to say. And I know that's going to end up being in somebody's video soon, so look for that on somebody else's channel. So it's a I don't know. I don't know if I do anything modular, it would be fairly targeted and very small. And my real thought is that I would base it around a good synth voice or a good semi-modular, and then have it be the things that the semi-modular or synth voice doesn't have. So I'm finding more and more, though, that in the rest of the synth world, I'm liking a lot software. Nifty Keys case, or the Nifty case, either one of those is definitely appealing, and a relatively low cost in, I guess. They have a little starter kit that gives you the on the case anyway. So you have the Nifty case and this weird little keypad sequencer thing that they make, and a weird little funky sounding oscillator, or a couple of oscillators, synth voice, and even that's appealing, and it's not a whole lot of money. It's so anyway, who knows? I probably will not actually buy anything out there. Won't make any real decisions until I've done that. And look, I'm going to, on the way home, I'll be stopping in Fort Wayne, which I know is not everybody's favorite place, but they've got everything under the sun in one place, or a large proportion of it. And so I'll put my fingers on be able to put my fingers on a lot of things. So let's see what else we got. So there's a couple of, as I mentioned, I'm getting a lot interested in software synthesis, something I thought I'd never get into, but I keep finding more and more neat things. Native Instruments has, yeah, something like that. Native Instruments has come out with a new instrument that sounds really cool, and called Erosia. It's a Kontakt instrument, fits well into my work style and sound, but I don't know if I'm going to buy it. It's a good sounding thing, and I've got, let's see if I can get to it without screwing things up. I've got queued up, I think, their little teaser video. If anybody, so for those who haven't seen it, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Let me get over to this machine and pull that up. Yep, here we go. And I don't know what the level is going to be yet. So let me stop the drone and we'll play this. Oh, that's loud. Sorry, guys. Where's the volume control? Can't find the volume. take the volume control away in this mode. Let me do... So that's whoops, we'll get back to that. I don't want to spill the beans on that one just yet. So anyway, that's of interest. It's available now, and I'm, it's kind of interested. Like I said, it fits in well with my the way I like to do things and the way I like to work. It plays well with my keyboard controller, which is a big deal. And so I'm looking at, so this will be, it's like part of my decision making, going to Knobcon and trying to determine a direction. Mixmaster, you're talking about mapping keys. So one thing, and I talked about this 3 weeks ago, but I can show it real quick. There's a fella, and I linked him some time ago. I'll link him again in tonight's show notes as well. Who does if you are in the Native Instruments NKS world, basically it automatically maps the knobs in the VST version of the multi-poly to the controller beautifully, and so that's kind of the route I've taken with that. So what I usually do is I like to do the sound development on the computer, and then I will pass it over to the hardware for use later. And it's a couple of steps to get to it because Korg kind of made it kind of a bouncy way to get stuff back and forth. But it lets me do the sound design in an environment that's very comfortable. It's also easy to perform with. In fact, let's go here, and I will show you. So let's grab camera 2. And I'm going to tighten the shot up here a little bit. Boom. Okay, so I've got the multi-poly here, and the multi-poly software. Let me get the focus a little tighter. There we go. Whoops, too far. Kontrast is kind of playing heck with the camera, but so this is... I have control here, actually. Let me try one more time to get the focus better. Yeah, that's as good as it's going to get right now. Sorry. But I have, as you can see, there's the main bunch of controls. I've got lots and lots of controls mapped out to the controller, and it's a plugin. So if I, Paul, so if you're, if you've got the editor, or if you've got the VST version, it would, and you get this guy's plugin, which is really cheap. It plugs right into the NKS environment. If you have Kontakt 8, Kontakt instruments, and I don't have any loaded up for tonight's show, they map automatically to this keyboard, to the Control S, Mark III keyboards. Mapping other things to them now, the keyboard's been out for a year. When it first came out, it wasn't complete. But they've got it to the point now where mapping things, a lot of things that through your DAW will map almost automatically. I think that, I don't know about SynthMaster, but I think Surge would likely auto map to this keyboard pretty easily. I've not tried it. I don't use Surge, but I would venture to bet that it'll auto map to some extent. Because if you, let's go back to that. If the next thing here, oops, wrong thing. I have it for Modwave as well. That's Valhalla Supermassive, which is not NKS. Is not NKS, but here are all the controls for Supermassive mapped out across 3 screens. But I've got all the controls. And if you use Ableton Live, so this keyboard is the Native Instruments Control S Mark III. I have the 49 key version. And then, so this is Valhalla Supermassive automatically mapped. And then I'm using Ableton Live. So the Ableton Live utility plugin that comes with it is also automatically mapped. And all I do is set up the instruments in the DAW. And it is exactly what Nektar wanted to do. And so the Nektar, from what I know anyway, does play well with other DAWs, but it doesn't play well with Ableton Live. Although the latest version of the Nektar, they've been starting to say that they are now able to have Ableton Live compatibility. I don't know. But see, I don't know that I need a roto control. I've got all my rotary controls right here on the keyboard, and buttons and whatever else I need. I looked at the panorama. There was the next level down from the panorama was everyone wants to make me a deal. Everyone wants to make me more deals. So anyway, what do we got here? So that's that thing. And the next thing is this. Some of you know that I'm a big fan of Dawsome's software. And a few months ago, yeah, dude, Andy, I have been trying to sell a bridge here in DC for, I don't know, 30 years. I haven't gotten any, 40 years. I haven't gotten any takers. So bridges are a hard sell, even though you tell them, you can put up a toll booth and make a fortune. They just don't want to buy bridges. I don't get it. Same with beachfront property in Arizona, Anyway, as you know, a lot of you know, I love Dawsome software. A couple months ago, Peter put out a request to Dawsome users asking what we would like to do differently or see differently in a wavetable VST, and I don't know what all the suggestions were, but I did make a couple. And what he came out with, and he and I discussed a few things back and forth in email, and what he came out with kind of takes the thought that I had and spins it around in a lot of different ways. So a lot of, as you know, a lot of the wavetable synth, and we'll be playing with one in a couple of minutes. Basically, you have your table of waves, and you can sweep through it. And my thought was, well, what if you rotated the table and kind of went across it at varying angles? So you've now taken the wavetable and distorted it, and you're now reading across it or through it or whatever. And Peter came back to me and said, well, that he had been thinking about along those lines, but instead of moving the spinning the table, he was talking about spinning the scan bar, which would accomplish basically the same thing. And I thought, well, that's really cool. So what he came up with, though, is even cooler than that. And it's not available yet. It's going to be available the next few weeks. He's going to have an intro price on it. Peter has no idea I'm talking about this. So, and I should say no sponsorship on this channel, at least not at this point. So let's jump back over. I'll let you listen to a little bit about what he's got for that. And again, I apologize that the volume is going to jump through the roof, but I don't have a way to run this through the DAW. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. This one will be quieter. So here we go. This is really cool. So all of those things that you saw on the screen flashing through that black and white contrast image, those are the scan bars scanning through the three-dimensional wavetable field. So not only is he moving through the field like you ordinarily would, or through the wavetable like you ordinarily would, or twisting or spinning, but he's changing the shape of that scan. Just, you know, kind of his mind is a really scary place, I'm sure. So anyway, that's going to be very interesting, and I'm looking that I will definitely be buying. No two ways about it. Definitely going to be interesting. So, hey Paul, you going to go up to AES in October? Let me know. We'll talk. I'm going to take the train up, so I can run by. Let's see. I could pick you up on the way to the train station, if you want. So anyway, talk to you later about that. So that's the new stuff. Let's see. Can't think of anything else. Well, yeah, and that. So I can see, you know, if you can figure out a way to get control to MIDI as a modulation source into map it into the software, then yeah, you can. I'm sure that you're going to be able to have at least some control over that scan. So I mean that would be I don't know what all I don't know yet what all control you're going to have. I've only seen he sent me over an early prototype video, not actual software, and he you know, they released that info pack the other day. So I doubt they do, Paul. I think they all ran away. I don't know. They might. You know, there's a lot of people been wandering around the AES show for forever. So anyway, that's cool. That I will definitely be buying. No two ways around that. The intro price is going to be pretty good, and you know, it's almost a no-brainer. I love all the Dawsome software, even the or almost all of the Dawsome software, even the apps that crush my CPU, but you know, I love them anyway. They're great software. So, all right, let's get back to, or let's get into what I advertised that we were going to talk about, and let's see. So that's going to be looking at here Modwave. And so I need to start, like I say, I'm going to have a Modwave. I need to start getting familiar. So for about the next, I don't know, 20-25 minutes, let's just kind of poke around in the Modwave and see what kind of trouble we can get into. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up to full screen and see if I can find an init patch. And am I driving? Yeah, I'm driving the Modwave now. You know, I miss Ensoniq too. You know, Ensoniq was my first workstation keyboard, and what a fantastic. I had a VFX, the version 2 VFX SD, which really was, 98% of an SD1, honestly. Let's see. So let's see. Go in here and both of them were right up there until, and we've talked. Some of us have talked about this. So they were right up there until Creative Labs got a hold of them, and that was the end of that. There we go. In it. Okay. Don't crash into anybody on the bike. So the Modwave is it's a wavetable synth, and you know how I am. I say, well, do we need another wavetable synth? And then I get into another wavetable synth because I love wavetable synthesis. So we start out with the basic waveforms, and you can do the whole thing, sweep through. Let's go up a couple octaves. And of course, all that can be, yeah, exactly. One of the interesting things, though, with the Modwave is that you start getting into the different oscillator types for each layer in a performance, and so you have the regular wavetable, which does all the regular wavetable things. You can sweep the wavetable. You can do various kinds of morphs, or what they call morphs, and some of them are more some of them are more obvious than others. So one of the things I like about wavetable synthesis is you can start to get, interesting effects without even starting to get into filtering or other things. So in the oscillators, you got basically 3 different oscillator types. You've got a wavetable, you've got a sample, and then you've got something that's most interesting to me, something they call wavetable AB. And what that allows you to do is have 2 wavetables loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and use the basic one for the first one, and we'll just grab another one sort of at random. So we now have 2 wavetables, and we can go between those 2 wavetables. So in the B side, we got this. And then you can also morph between them. So you can get these really complex sounds, like I said, without even getting into, monkeying with filters or, that kind of thing. And then each layer has 2 of these oscillators, as well as a sub or noise input as well. So things get real complex right away. I'm trying to read the track because you guys are getting funny. Let's see. Walmart just destroying the. Oh. They're gonna put in a super Walmart, I guess. So just to see what we can do real quick, we'll just go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do two different setups with this pair of wavetables. First up, we'll just do the usual stuff. So I'm going to take LFO. We'll start with LFOs. You can jump to the LFO. We'll slow it down a lot for the oscillator 1 LFO. And let's make it a sine and we will make it free run. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to assign it to wavetable position. So we'll just click out here and grab the control we want, and I'm going to tell it that we're going to add an oscillator or add a modulator, and it will be LFO1, oscillator 1 LFO, and we'll give it an amount, let's say that's pretty good. And then we're going to take the pitch LFO, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on the morph. So we do that. We'll slow this guy down. I'm going to tempo sync this one, and I'm going to say make it 4 whole notes. And let's make this one of these funky randoms that they've got. And yeah, that should work. We'll free run that as well. And go here and tell it this modulation source we want to be the pitch, oscillator 1 is pitch LFO. So that's a generator. And oscillator 1 pitch, where is it? Or pitch LFO, there we go. So now if I play this, you can hear and see that it's kind of going back and forth between everything. And let's find something a little more extreme for the B waveform. That's better. I think I have the amount. Oh, I didn't turn that up. There we go. Now it'll go. And I think 50 will give me a full sweep. Where are they? And let's go ahead and speed the other one up a little bit, just so we can get the effect in there. And we can also do things like put envelopes on that or aftertouch or whatever. We can also modulate the set and modulate the morph types. I mean, it's just all the stuff we can just mess with all of it. What does that do for us? One thing with these modulation envelopes here too, we can go for your sustain, we can take our sustain below 0, which is kind of neat. All right, so let's go take those, and we're going to run them. They're going to run through this filter. Let's make it an MS-20 filter, low pass, and let's see where we want that to sit. All right, so I'll take the filter envelope and we'll just slow it down a bit. Yeah. Okay, so that's probably all right. And come here to the filter and give it the LFO amount. . Now I will say that this is not as these are not as the filters and the are not as robust in terms of their ability to be modulated or do interesting modulations as some of the software synths are. Like I can't turn this into a stereo filter where each side of the stereo pair is moving separately, like you can do in Vital or Pigments. Turn Portamento on just for fun. Okay, so the next really interesting part of the Modwave and also the multi-poly, one of the things that makes it unique is the chaos stuff, the chaos physics. And basically what you can do with this is you can have this modulate whatever parameters you want, or many of the parameters, in a way that's affected by things like on this kind of sort of warped plateau. If you're familiar with a chaos pad, it's the same kind of thing. But we could do, you know, we can put a bump here, and you see some circles start to form there. So what we've basically done is we've made like a hi-hat shape or cymbal shape, and we can position the center of that. I'm going to put it 0. We can tilt it, and we can give it some. I'm going to give it some delay time. I'm going to give it a little bit of friction to start with, and then we get to start to say where is it going to launch from, what direction, and how fast. For the moment, I'm going to leave those settings alone. And I'm going to go ahead and say what triggers this thing to hit. And so I'm going to say, let's say number of notes. That should work. So when I hit a key, oh, there's nothing really for it to modulate yet, but it should start bouncing. Let's see. Did I get the right one? Number of voices. Now it should be there. Maybe I have to change the threshold. Start should be here. Let's see. Maybe I do have to send it somewhere before it will fly. So let's go ahead and send it somewhere. Come over here, and you can stack stack modulation sources on here. I'm going to turn, for now, I'm just going to turn this one down, and I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to say Chaos X for this one, and we'll turn it up a bit, and then I'll come over here and add Chaos Y. So basically we've got an XY pad, and I'll just turn it up some. And let's go over to Chaos. Is Chaos, did I turn Chaos Physics on? Yes, I did. Well, we can do this. This will definitely work. Note on trigger. So as this moves around, it's affecting the parameters we told it to affect. And if you have the hardware, there's an actual chaos pad on the front panel, just like on the multi-poly. Which let me drive the other camera over there. I'll show you what that looks like. I want that to go there. And we'll go ahead and put it on while it's moving. What the heck? I'll do it this way. Boom. So I'm not going to be able to. I don't have the multi-poly up, and it's not mapped to this software. But I'll show you the idea. So up here in this corner is a touchpad, and if you've got that enabled in the software, or once you set it up, when you touch this pad, that sets the launch point, and you can fling it or flick it in whatever direction, and then it will behave based on the parameters that you set up here. Once this would get transferred over to the instrument, so that kind of control. I mean, you all know that I'm a control freak, and that kind of modulation control live has got to be a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to that, and we can change the way the response is. Make it linear. So we're trying to go up a hill. That's why it's running off into the corners. And you can change the deflection angle that it launches at. Now I want to try and go this way. The other thing you can do with this bump is you can actually make it like a well. And you'll see that that wasn't a good direction. You can see that it gets pulled in. And the more friction you give it, the longer it will take to get... the easier it gets pulled into the center. And if you change the bump height or dip height, it has more or less effect. But I still have it. Let's go to gravity. Come on, let's get some more force. So now it has a little more momentum, or started with more momentum. I like the bump a little better because it gets expelled. And you can also set it so instead of bouncing off the edges, it jumps over to the other side. And if we tilt it a little bit, so that's the gist. I'm going to put this back on the bounce, and then going through the rest of the layer. Each layer has its own sequencer, its own arpeggiator, and its own effects. Start with some effects. We'll go ahead and hang a little delay on this, and chorus. I'll just take the defaults. They're probably fine for the moment. Let's see if I want to change anything here. I'm going to make it a little wetter. Other than that, oh, and I'm going to change this to dotted eighths. And then it's got a global, for effects, there's a global reverb. So both engines, all the oscillators, both engines come together and run through one reverb, which is a pretty good reverb. And again, I'll just take the default for now. And let's see, real quick too, go back to the layer here. We're going to go ahead and set up a quick sequence. The sequencer is interesting. So pitch, the shape has to do, the shape lane has to do with the shape of the motion between steps, if that makes sense. So like you can have it, let's see. You have all these different shape types. So we could say, you know, the shape is going to be an upward saw, and I'm going to make this, and then the next one could be just a straight across, and the next one could be, oh, let's see, do something weird. We'll do this exponential down thing. And so now I can take and say, how long is this part of the sequence going to be? And I'll say I'll make that, you know, 3 steps. So if I turn the sequencer on, it is on. You can see what happens over time, right? So now if I say I want to kind of modulate this, I'm going to go along and you know, we're going to go up, and this is in semitones. So let's say go up a fifth, and then let's say we go up, I don't know, an octave. Click. And let's say that's all the number of steps this is going to be. So we'll bring this guy back to here. We tell it to use shape. So now when it makes those changes between the pitches, it will, you know, either glide or dip or however it's going to do it. So we say use shape. And we can do things too, like change the duration of each step. So we could say make this one a quarter note, and this one, I don't know, an eighth, and make it just be there's 4 steps in that lane. So everything's a little different, never quite repeats. So that's to say that I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the hardware and starting to play with this. You know, this where I'm kind of going is I think that my for those who were with me a few weeks ago, I said I was looking for a companion to the Pro 800 for a live kind of gig, and I was going to try and not involve a computer too much. But what I think is ending up going to happen is that my performances are going to be based on things like the Pro 800 and the Korg Pi synths, you know, the PiKorgs, and you know, with the DAW involved as kind of a gatekeeper. There will be, you know, to use it to set up loops or to kick off, you know, sequences while I play other parts, and I will have actual hands-on control of the things that I want to have hands-on control over, either on the keyboard controller or on the devices themselves. So that's, I think, the direction I'm going at the moment. next week or the next week could change all of that. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, that's going to about do it for me because I want to make sure I get out of the way in time for Jeff to come up at 9:30, which is in just about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So I'm going to thank everyone for coming and have a. I hope you all had a good time tonight. I did, and oh, no problem, Paul. We will see you soon. We'll talk during the week. I'm going to be down in D.C. tomorrow and in Baltimore on Wednesday, and then of course I'm out of town. But you know we have telephones and text devices, so we can talk. So anyway, Paul, Jeff, Andy, Mixmaster, and everyone else who is here, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it, and we will see you all next time.